And we are live. Yay! Welcome to the Game Night Show. And this is where we help change makers change their game and everyone wins. I'd like to welcome our guests and any of those who are watching live today on YouTube. I'd love for you to pop in the chat, say hi, say where you're from, and even what your business is. So most of the people who are in our tribe who stumble upon our show have businesses of their own. We'd love to know what kind of business you run as well. You, our viewers, are the live guinea pigs in our experimental games tonight. And I invite you to subscribe to our channel and watch every week. Some highlights of what we're going to do today. Our theme tonight is power games. Gentle and fun power games that move mountains. We're going to be doing another fast-paced game night with multiple games that help you win and expand everyone's genius in business and in life. In addition to playing games, we're going to give away a prize, as always, and at the end we will share how to keep playing with us all week long. We are sharing this in YouTube and links in Facebook where you can watch it later as well. And if you are watching later, we would love for you to use the hashtag replay right now and let us know that you are here in the chats with that hashtag. I am Jean Berry. I am a creative explorer and your game night show host. Coaches and consultants hire me to make branded games for their transformational work. And I work with an extraordinary team to make that all happen. So let me introduce you to the Game Maker team and panelists on the show tonight. Tonight, representing the whole team is Kavita Singh, the official magic catcher. Let me put it on the screen. There we go. The official magic catcher and with business X-ray goggles that allow her to see where things are going and how to maximize impact in the world. Say hey again.
Hey, everybody.
Yay. So glad that you're here tonight, Kavita. And we have a fabulous special guest contestant this evening. And her name is Teresa Campos. Teresa is a speaker, author, guide, and mentor to all those seeking a more fulfilled life. She runs a cutting-edge program called Your Life's Design, which provides participants with insights into the deep-rooted impulses that negatively impede their desires. Her book, Braving the Self, The Journey of a Spiritual Warrior, is available on Amazon. Say hi, Teresa. We're so glad to have you here today.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And as always, we're going to just jump right into a game. I'm going to put us all on the screen here. And it's because our theme tonight is power games. Before we start those games, though, we're going to start with a quick game. And Kavita smiles because our panelists actually are getting better at this rapid fire game, but I usually completely tank. And so last week our theme was abundance, and I thought we'd give it another shot with our first game, Words That Mean Power. So we're looking for words that mean power tonight. So this is a rapid fire game, and we're all going to basically state a game. So I'll start with a word, power, and then we'll go around. We'll go to Kavita, and then Teresa, and then Jean, and Kavita, and Teresa. And the first one to hesitate is out until there's just one of us left who is the supreme winner of the day. If you are in the chat today and watching us live, I would love for you to type in your power words as well. Anything that comes to you that means power. Okay, you guys ready?
Ready.
Ready. Okay, I'm going to start with power.
Friends.
Strong.
Giant.
Beautiful.
Big.
I make up these games and you would think that I'd be able to just nail it, right? Oh, sorry, I'm out. Okay, Kavita, you're up.
Hefty. I heard that.
It works.
Fierce.
Light.
Oh, I don't have one.
Kavita, winner of the supreme rapid fire game this week. It always surprises me. I know, exactly. First time for everything. I always think it's funny on that game because I love words and I love following through on them, and yet for some reason they just don't come to me, snap, snap, snap. Very good. Well, thank you for playing the power game word game today. So, games have a way of shifting, of course, the power dynamic and quickly changing who's winning and who's losing. So, in today's night of theme of power games, we're going to look at those ways to shift the power in your business with gentle dynamics. Now, 2 weeks ago on the show, we featured bibliomacy games. Now, bibliomacy means divination by the book. And it's originally this kind of game was taken from like sacred text through rituals and ceremony. And now it's kind of used as an everyday kind of game. One of the most popular games in bibliomacy is like the dictionary game, which we played a couple weeks ago. And if you're watching our live stream today, I would like you to join in our first game. And in honor of our guest tonight, who is an author, we are going to play with this divination using Teresa's book.
All right.
I know, pretty exciting. And find something really juicy in there. And then we're going to create a simple game out of it. And so first of all, what I like to do for our regular part of the bibliomacy game is to come up with a question that will serve our audience that we're going to find some answer to based upon randomly shuffling through the book. So Teresa, what you're going to do is you're going to grab your book. We're going to ask a question. Okay. And then after we have the question, you're going to just flick through the book. And wherever you stop, you're going to open the book and then close your eyes and just point to a spot. And you're going to read, and you're going to read us that sentence.
Oh, okay. This will be fun.
It is. Beautiful. All right. So, what should we work on today, Kavita?
What does the color red mean?
Ooh. What does the color red mean? This is actually really interesting because it can be kind of abstract and yet very pointed into how we use red in our worlds, in our businesses, and everything else like that. So very interesting. And red can be seen as a power color as well. So what does the color red mean? All right, Teresa, you're on. Flipping through that book.
So I'm going to point to something, and when I point to it, do I read the whole sentence of what I'm pointing to?
Yes, yeah, so just the whole sentence. And if we need more context, we may ask you to read more that's around it. But you get to just read the sentence. All right.
Okay, you ready?
We're ready.
It is the connection to all is one.
I love it so much. All right.
I think it's hysterical that we actually got it. It is. Like it wasn't something totally random. No, it's just it is. All right. Anything you want to add about that, Kavita?
I'm so lit up by it right now because it's so clear and it's so focused. It's like laser focus. It can be that simple. And so that's what I'm hearing. And so what feels really interesting is how we can now expand this concept to different areas of our lives. So we can talk about it in our business. We can talk about it in our personal lives, what it means, showing up as a woman, all these different things. So Jean, I'd actually ask you to pick one of those categories and see what question you'd like to say from that space. And then, Teresa, you get to choose the answer.
Okay.
All right. So the choices were for...
it was business. It was... as
life
a woman.
Yes. Oh, actually, as a woman. That one totally jumps out, as a woman. So I want to know then what that means as a woman.
Okay.
Okay, so are we going to use that same sentence, or are we going to draw another one?
We can, we're going to draw another sentence.
Okay, all right, so you're going to shuffle through the whole thing again. Yep. So we're going to use that, plus we're going to use, so we have the meaning of red, which is a connection of all that is one, right? One.
Yes, connection to all that is one, yes.
Connection to all that is one. Okay, cool.
Okay, and so what was your question
So
again,
my
Jean?
question then is, how does that impact me as a woman?
Okay, the soul's desire to awaken burns within each of us.
Soul's desire.
And I love that so much because it's regardless while we're taking the lens of a woman, it means that we as women have that role to play in that awakening, right? Like calling
Right.
forward. That's what I heard when you read it.
Well,
You know?
and for me, it felt very personal because, we've been hanging out in this space of really, what is, okay, we've been talking today about what is desire and, like what is pleasure, like all those kind of things. And as a woman, I love this, that the slowest desire to awaken is burning within us, like it's there. You can't turn it off. And I really, really am digging that. Okay, I want one more because we're going to be able to create a little game then out of the three things that we pull. And so for our final question, let's ask, let's ask a really specific, well, this one actually comes up with a lot of our calls. And so let's just continue on the theme, which is this really specific, what is the best way to cause abundance inside my business?
Okay.
Okay, so let's pick another one.
Here we go. If we over-identify or use anger as a form of rejection of the group, we will use judgment and entitlement as our illusion of power.
Winning. I love it because it showed all the things that the games we play that stops abundance. And judgment is such a big thing.
Right.
Right. And of course the judgment causes anger and we get disillusioned and all of that. So it's so powerful. So I know Teresa didn't get to show the audience the book. So if you want to hold it up and see what the Oracle book that we're using today is.
Yes, it's called Braving the Self, The Journey of a Spiritual Warrior.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And I know that we're going to, so what I would love to do now is something kind of unusual. And in the moment, this is where we go into the improv moment, and decide, and we're going to create a little simple game using those three tenets basically. And so I'm going to ask you, Teresa, what do you like better? Do you like dice or a spinner?
Dice.
Dice, cool. And do you like a timer or a card?
A card.
And we'll go with that. Okay, so we have dice and a card. And so one of the things that we do is we dream games into existence. And so some of the things that we do is we ask random things. Now, Kavita added a random thing of red, which red is our color today. And so we're going to hang out in red for a second. And we have dice and a card. And if your business, or excuse me, if your book, the soul of your book were a shape, what shape is it?
It would be a heart.
Cool. And if it were going to a party, where's the party?
The party's in San Francisco.
Cool. And is it at a specific venue or just anywhere in San Francisco?
It's at the Golden Gate, on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Ooh, nice. And what do they do at that party?
They dance.
See, I knew that. I had that one already. I was writing it already. Oh, no, we're dancing on the Golden Gate Bridge. I totally got that. All right. So connection to one. So for the one thing, which is kind of our theme and this whole thing, I've got this. Actually, I'm going to flip over here to the iPad because I've got some fun things going here. And move my spinner out of the way. Here we go. Got to put all the stuff up there. All right. So if you're watching on here, and Kavita and Teresa can't see this, but I have a red die, a big old red die And so we're going to use that as one of our props. And then I've got a couple of cards that we're going to write some things on. And one of them is going to be judgment, because that was one of the things that we pulled up. One of them is going to be power, because it actually was judgment of power, but I'm going to make that a separate drawing. And then we have soul's desire on one of the cards. And we have connection to one. Or to all, actually, all. We're going to have connection to all. And one more card is going to be burns in us. Okay, so I'm going to, how many do I have? Oh, I need one more. I need 6. We need soul, desire, burns in each one of us. On the last quote that you made, it actually was longer than judgment of power. What else was in there?
It was, let's see, which one was it? It was awakening. It had illusion in there, too.
Oh, illusion. Okay, we're going to use illusion then. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right, cool. So now I have these 6 concepts. And so now for the game that actually is going deeper inside of Teresa's work, we're actually going to roll this die. And I've put these in order. And I think we're going to also ask another question. So now let's treat this kind of like an oracle of things that are really aligned with the concepts of your book. So I assume that it's a lot about courage. See, I haven't actually read your book. I'm very excited to. Yet I assume because there's bravery in the title that it is about being courageous. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay, cool. And so if we were to ask a basic question like, what does it take to be courageous inside my business? Mm-hmm. That would be something that we might get an answer on. Correct. And, okay, cool. And we're going to use the dice roll. So I'm going to shuffle our cards. I'm going to just draw one of these for our answer without looking. Okay, it's this one. Ooh, I got burns in us. And I'm going to roll the dice. Whoa. And I got the number 6. And so now we're going to use that as our oracle. So as burns in us and the number 6. All right. Kavita, I think you're on for this one.
Oh, I love it so much. So the part that I heard about courage and the question, right? It's the burning desire that first fuels us to movement. And then it's the desire that goes on and continues that fuel of energy to create whatever the outcome of that desire is. So it's like going on. I remember your dream, Jean. Going into the boat, going onto the seas, sailing that ship, whatever that is with us. And it's if you think about it, it's not so much the outcome that calls us forward, but the joy of the desire. Because in the joy of the desire, we can already, if we really tapped into it, we can already feel the energy of the outcome. Because we're like, oh, this is it. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to create, right? We're already fueled by that. We don't go into the energy of, oh my God, that may never happen. I mean, if we're doing that, sometimes we're not touching the truth of what that desire really is. Maybe we need to dig a layer deeper, right? Because we're working from the human mind of, or how do I do this and how do I get that outcome? And I need to figure it all out, and all the stories we can make up, right? Yet, if we're touching the truth of the desire, that passion and that energy, we're like, I don't know how, but this is it. This is it. This is the thing that I got to do. And because of that joy and that curiosity, the people show up, all the support shows up for us to help us get to that space. And it always shows up one step at a time. So there's an element of trust. There's always an element of trust in this kind of game. Is that helpful, Jean?
Exactly. Well, and I also want to know about the number 6 then, because we actually rolled some dice on that. And I know that you do some things with numerology and angel numbers and those kind of things. So I'm wondering if you can share a little bit about that.
Sure. So my personal take on the number six is it's usually about the material plane. It's about like creating that tangible experience. It's about really owning whatever that physical experience is. So sometimes, with our desires and everything else, we can get into our heads, or we can get out of our bodies and be like, oh, this is amazing. I'm connected to source, whatever it is, and we create that experience. But for the number six, it's like, fine, you can have all of that, and the joy is already there, like we talked about in the beginning. But also allow yourself the human experience of having that thing, having that experience, meeting that person, going to that place. Make it very tangible and physical, because the joy are existing at both ends of the spectrum. And in your human experience, you get to move from point A to point B. See?
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay, Teresa, so we how does that feel inside of the wisdom of your game? Like, does that feel like that kind of nailed it? I'm kind of curious what showed up for you when we rolled those things, that kind of out of context, right? Because it's not exactly from your book, and yet it's pulling those deeper truths.
It is. And that's what was really cool to hear Kavita start to describe. What she was saying was so in alignment with what my book was written for. And she used the word desire. And that's what I was thinking in my mind before you said that. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly it. And can I just add one more piece to it, is that my book is set up in 49 keys. So when we pull the number six, I look at number six, and it is about being your authentic self. That was number six. So just to add another layer to that.
That is so amazing. And I love that, because, of course, we're not aware of that either. And I love how the magic rolls out inside of this kind of, in the moment, what are we creating and how is that going to be? I love that wholeness and that you have other numbers. Okay, because you have other numbers, I totally want to roll some more dice. Okay, so I want to know. I know. So we're going to roll some more dice. And this one, I would love it to be the thing that will most serve our audience today. Okay. So what they need to know, right? So this is going to be what they need to know. I've just got 2 dice, so we can only roll up to 12. So I know you have 49, but we're not going to get there. So it's going to be one of the first 12, because that's the only place we can go. So let me go ahead. Let me pull up the spot where we're rolling dice here. Here we go. Woo! 9 is what is on the screen.
Oh. Okay. You ready?
Ready.
Surrender.
Nice. You want to read some more about that?
Yes. Fear will challenge us to make choices that move us away from our passion and desire. Controlling our lives gives us the sense of security. But what happens when we want to end a relationship, quit a job, or just make a different choice in our lives and challenge our own control?
Yeah, it just all fits together. We seem to be on a roll here. Yes. We're just going to roll with that. That's awesome. So I would love to ask you, Teresa, a little bit more about your book and how this came to be. How is it that you decided to write this book?
Well, originally I started blogging, and this book is a compilation of all the different blogs that I had written over time. And the blogs were inspired by different things that I was feeling challenged by in my life, different things that I was working through on my spiritual path. So, surrender came from my relationship to fear, and what was fear, what was my relationship to fear at that time in my life, and what I learned and how to be with it. So each one of these keys that I have in the book are a different piece of the path, whether it's vulnerability, whether it's looking at our victim archetype, looking at the divine feminine, the divine masculine. They're all different, kind of stages, and yet they happen not in any particular order, just as we move through life and whatever comes up in the moment for us.
Of course. That's really cool. And do you ever find that people don't even know where they are? Like they just feel stuck, but they're like, God, I have no idea.
I do. I do. I mean, we can all relate to that probably ourselves, I'm sure. And, the other impetus for this book is really to help people to challenge their own social, cultural conditioning of their life, to brave the status quo. And that's where the title came from, was braving the self, was really braving our own status quo.
That's awesome. That's really fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I do want to play another game. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, this is fun. I'm happy. I love it.
Excellent. Well, I love to play this next game with our guests. And this is an opportunity where if you are watching, you can win a prize with Teresa tonight. And so Teresa's going to play the game. And what I would really love for you to say is what inspires you. So all you need to do is say what inspires you, and you can win a prize tonight. So yay. And what I have, Teresa, is, where'd it go? Oh, it's behind me. I have this little spinner, and it has all kinds of different life areas, and it also has numbers on it. And I am going to spin that spinner, and we are going to ask for actually you inside of your business to see what life area is most impacting your business right now. And we're going to see what might show up. I know it can feel a little scary. Like, oh my God, we're going to show your whole world. And yet what shows up is always something magical. And so I promise that's what happens. And so first I'd like to know if I have permission to spin the spinner for you.
Yes, you do.
And before I spin that, is there anything that you want to say about your business itself, like how it's rolling, or if there's anything that you kind of wanted insights on, or anything in those realms?
Sure. I feel right now that my business is falling into place, and yet there's this place that I am right now where it's like I'm waiting, because I know I'm kind of in this place of waiting for things to align. I planted all the seeds, and I can see the seeds all over the place, and I know that they're going to be sprouting, and yet there's this place of feeling of scarcity right now, because not everything has come up, right? As we enter into spring, it's kind of that feeling of, okay, let's watch it grow. It's growing. So there's a little bit of angst around that.
Yeah, well, I can totally relate. My vision board for April, where we do free drawing basically, and it was a seed also. So I always think it's, we're always so aligned. It's just so interesting how the people who show up in our world are really, basically in the exact same place that we're all hanging out. So that's beautiful. All right, we're going to get the spinner on the screen here. There we go. And I'm going to spin away. Ooh, interesting. So it landed on friends and family. So it's the relationship area, friends and family, and the number 3. So first of all, I want to ask you, Teresa, is there anything that means for you? Like when we talk about friends and family, or the number 3, like does anything pop up right away for you?
Yeah. So what pops up is I went to friends and family, but what feels like the bigger picture there is community, and for me, this is something that has been just coming up for me in the most recent past here, is that tapping into using my resources in the community that I have created in my life, rather than feeling like that I have to always be the one to become my own resource, that I have a lot of resources out there to help support my business, and I don't always have to do it all myself. Yeah. That's what's coming in. So I'm tapping more into reaching out and asking for help.
Excellent. Excellent. You and me both, girl. and I suspect a lot of our viewers would actually agree with that. If you're watching, I'm kind of curious, what's the thing in your business that, especially in the realm of friends and family, that you can tap into? I'd love to have you share that as well. Kavita, do you have anything else to share about what came in for you?
Well, before I get to that, I want to acknowledge Astrid. She's joining us in the chat. And so she says she's sharing it away. Love the question of what inspires you. And she totally gets it. Trusting that seeds are growing. Yes, she can relate to it too. and for not doing it all alone, asking for help. Totally, she agrees with all of that. So acknowledging that. And then for me, what's coming up, and it's especially true today, is the fact that, there are so many possibilities, yet sometimes we don't allow ourselves to see a possibility that we think doesn't exist. It's the weirdest thing, right? Because if we think it don't exist, then we don't give it much thought. But then if we do see something and we're like, I see that option, but it's not quite right. It hasn't touched that sweet spot, whatever that means for us. And then we get curious about, well, what is the possibility that will make this feel really good, right? This I want this experience and I want that thing. And so what is the option or the choice that I can use to have that experience? And then we find out that, yes, somebody did create that thing, the technology does exist, and all these other things. So it's having conversations with friends and family or your community, whoever is showing up for you, and just simply saying the thing, and then that person goes, oh yeah, I've already solved that. I've got the answer for that, here it is. Or I can point you, here's the website, point you in the right direction. and sometimes it can be that easy, right? So
Yes.
asking.
I do love that. Yes, this theme of asking. That's beautiful. So I actually want to spin one more time because sometimes it gets a deeper message on the second spin. And so we're going to spin one more time for basically in the same kind of question, what's going to serve us all in our businesses right now. Is that on? Whoops. That I think it landed right there. Environment. Ooh, environment number 9. And so this is about the spaces that you are in, that your business is in, and how it serves and supports you.
Yeah. So are you wanting me to answer that, Jean?
Yeah, I'm curious what comes up for you on that.
Okay, so this is the way environment came to me. Is that, and this is so, of course, we all know how all this aligns up, right? So really looking at the environment in terms of what is like the ethos of how I run my energy. Like, do I run my energetic environment inside of me from a place of lack, or do I run it from a place of ease and flow? Because what I'm seeing is my internal environment, and how that all shows up for me is determining, of course, my whole outside reality and the experiences that I'm having right now. And so I'm like super aware of what type of environmental conversations, right, that are playing inside of me. That has been so on the forefront of my everyday existence, probably for the last, I'm going to say, week. It's been really strong. So that's where I went with the word environment that you gave just now.
Excellent. And we were, just before we got on the air, we were talking about that energetic piece, that piece about how the things around you and the things in your environment actually are part of your energy. And I was just telling how I had cleaned out all my old memories. I pulled out that old memory box, and I really gutted it out, and in there finding the way to release pieces of energy and things that maybe were holding energy that I wanted back. I wanted that energy back.
Yeah.
Kavita, what else?
That's coming up even with the music that I listen to. I'm choosing my music more mindfully, and I don't watch a lot of television, but when I do put it on, I'm really being more mindful of what it is that I'm watching. Is this environmental energy that I'm exposing myself in alignment with, how I want to feel, with how I want to create my life, with what I desire? So that's where it's been really big on what I'm even looking at around where I'm sitting in my home.
Absolutely.
Yes, I absolutely love that. We're having some birds. Environment, right? It's about, for me, it's taking that time to also choose to go outside and to be in nature, because sometimes we can forget and we're busy running around with all the things we have on our schedule. And yet we forget to just be. Like, just we can take a moment at home inside and meditate. Why not take a moment outside and just be for a little bit before we rush into the next activity? Like, if we're in our vehicles, we can just sit there for a moment before we open the door and rush out to wherever we're meant to go. Take that moment and just pause. And it can be a simple, practical step like that, to being more aware and actively choosing. I'm choosing to be a part of this thing. I'm not, there's no obligation. There is no I have to or I should. I am choosing to show up here. I'm choosing to be with this person. I'm choosing to spend my time in this way, Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. And so we kind of started this off today talking about power games and actually the gentle inside power games, right? Which is when, and I love this one about environment because that's totally what it's about, is where do you get your power from? And that whole thing about music or the things that seep a little power from you, or that little clutter that's, all over the place, or, like all those things, taking a little bit of your power and yet cleaning them up, or being really mindful about choosing, really has you own that power. And when you start to step through those in each little tiny ways, how then you overall become more powerful.
Yes.
I love that.
I love how you connected the dots so well, Jean. It can be tiny. It's so tiny sometimes we miss it. But yet when we are able to be aware to really claim that power again, we become more present in our bodies, and then we show up more powerfully. And that's the magic right there. So we can check in how present we are in each moment, and then making that choice from a place of being present and being in our power, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so it even brings up, so for our viewers today, I would love to know, where do you get courage? Or how do you shore up your power? What do you do right now to shore up your power or get courageous? Where does that come from for you? I'd love to know that. That's so juicy. And of course, I've gone down a rabbit hole in my, this is what happens when we start to talk about really specific things, and then we start talking about games with them. I'm like, oh, we're making more games. And inside of your book, Teresa, you have these 49 keys, and I'm like, oh my God, there's 49 things. They divide by 7. And so if we could put them in 7 by 7 things, then we have this really cool way to access each one of those keys. And so I'm going down this little space of saying, what do we do with those 7s? Because 7 is one of my sacred numbers. I think everyone has theirs, and I don't know, maybe Kavita, maybe they change over time. But, and so, okay, this is a good question for our viewers. I want to know, do you have a number that's your number? You just know, that's my number. Teresa, do you have a number?
I do. And it's 7 and 21. I have 2 numbers, 7 and 21.
Nice.
Oh, I love that so much. For me, it's 4 and 7. So.
All
right.
So let's hear it. What are your topics for 7 and 21? Teresa, can you read? What are the keys?
Okay, so 7 is Braveheart, and 21 is, let's see, Just Breathe.
Oh, I love it. Astrid says her number is 23.
Okay, so 23.
So 23 is Staying the Course.
Perfect. And what's number 4?
Number 4 is Claim Your Desire.
I love it.
All the themes that we've talked about today. No wonder we're living inside of our numbers. That is so beautiful. That's really exciting. So I see this whole game board that has the 49 spaces on it. That would be really cool. And and then you move around it, basically. It's that whole thing about then the challenge of seeing what shows up for you and being brave enough to go down the ones that are difficult. And like the one we pulled for our third bibliomancy one, which was that judgment of power and the illusions, right? Right, illusion. That was what came up on that one. Is that I love the seeming hardness behind that, and yet when you put play behind it, then you get to say, well, let's go play with that. What does illusion look like? What does judgment look like? We all have that voice in our heads, right? Saying, oh my God, you're wrong and you're bad. And so, but then how do you play with that voice? How would that be more fun? I think we should spin a spinner for the voice in our head. We'll give that something to do.
Yeah.
Okay, for everyone's voice in their head. Okay, so I'm curious then, what is your most common voice in your head? Like, what's the one that comes up most often? And you may have learned already to let it go or play with it or anything else like that, but I'm kind of curious what that one is that usually shows up. For me, mine is usually, that's not really going to happen. Like, no, we're not really going to do that.
I love that you say that, Jean, because I remember, I can't reference the movie now, but I remember there was a movie that I saw that the main character, he was triggered by people saying that, calling him, you're a chicken. And so, of course, that means, you're not brave in that way. And then you can see people also react to things like, I'm stupid, or, and it's that dominant statement, very short, very sharp, that you hear that voice say to you. And it's the one thing that triggers you, or it makes you feel that you're not good enough to do the thing, or you can't achieve the thing that you want, right? So it's funny, Astrid said you're not doing enough, so that's a voice as well, right? I need to prove my worth, so I've got to do all these things. And so how do then you get into this sort of hustle mode. So it's really powerful when we can catch that voice and we can recognize that voice is actually an outdated program. We've picked it up in our childhood and that kind of thing. And it was meant to motivate us in a way. But the voice is not meant to have power over us. It's meant to empower us so that we become bigger than that voice, right? And it's not from an energy of proving, but it's from an energy of, that's not true. I know that I'm this person, and I have nothing to prove. Again, it comes back to presence. Like, I can be me, I can be all of me, and that story no longer serves. That voice no longer serves. And so this is where we can change the voices and get back into a position of power. Again, not from force. Power and force are two different meanings. I'm sure Teresa can agree with this one. And it's really about reclaiming your true voice. So I'd love to know, Teresa, and Jean, if it's okay with you, I'd love for Teresa, for you to, with this, what is being said now, you can open your book, use it like an oracle again, and probably read a sentence or a little paragraph that jumps out. I think it will be perfect for this.
Okay.
Of how we will play with those voices in our head. Okay, cool.
Okay, you ready? This is so funny. Okay, so it's key number 35, and key number 35 is play. Okay, so play is another form of creativity and of the magical child. As a little girl, my sister and I played together, which created some of my best memories as a child. We played Barbies for hours, constructing elaborate houses and storylines for our dolls. Or we would be outside playing with the neighbor kids, making up roller derby games, playing house in our playhouse with my sister's easy bake oven. It was a magical time, being young and free to express myself.
I love it.
So ultimately, that's the full answer. Just play. Just play. Pull out the Barbies. I don't care. Like, it's just time to play.
Yes, and the fact that that's how we learn to express ourselves, like you said, Teresa, right? This is our first form of expressing, and then we try to now complicate it and be like, oh, we have to follow a business system. We have to, and put
Right.
ourselves in a box rather than take the toy out of the box and play with it and express yourself, right? You're putting yourself into the box now.
Right. Can I share one other little piece in here? The child the child in us is never gone, only sometimes lost when it comes to the act of playing. We become so overwhelmed with the pressures of daily life, we forget to nurture the quality of play. Perfect.
Just like drop.
We're done here. We're just done here. Our work is done. That's so beautiful. And, you know, I want to thank you really for coming tonight, Teresa, because, you know, the people who show up here always show up at the right time, at the right place, with the right message. And there's no question that what you've brought here tonight has been really extraordinary in creating that. So I would love to ask you, what is there any other word of wisdom you'd like to share? I mean, you can just open the book and share that, or you can, off the top of your head, share what you'd like.
Well, actually, I just did open the book. I did open the book, and I want to say thank you for inviting me, because this has been really a lot of fun. I had no idea what to expect, and I love how beautifully everything just threaded its way to come full circle for us to, you know, this is about play, and we ended with play, literally, in so many ways. So that's just really awesome. You know, I just want to end with just a couple sentences out of the book, and it's key number 18, and it's about self-esteem. And it reads, our choices are determined by our self-esteem. How we see our value is responsible for what we feel about ourselves. This relationship shapes our interactions with others, how we treat others, and how we treat ourselves. Without a healthy sense of self-esteem, we negotiate our power and do not trust ourselves. Learning to understand the connection to personal value and self-esteem has changed my life.
Oh, that's so beautiful and so powerful. So, Teresa, would you like to share how can people get their hands on this book, on this magical book of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. There it is right here. And you can go on Amazon. It's available on Amazon if you just Google in Teresa Campos or Braving the Self, and it'll come up, and that's how you can do it. Or you can go to my website, which is Teresa Campos, Teresa with no H, Campos, CAMPOS.com, and there is a link there under products to go to the website and go to Amazon and get my book.
Awesome, thank you. I'll find the link and drop it in the chat as well for everybody.
And I want to say it's a workbook. So after each key, there is a contemplative question that I ask. So the 49 keys are all lined up as a series of work for people to use as journaling.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, before we go, I would like to, as we sometimes do at the end of the show, draw a card from one of the decks that I have. I just pulled this one out today. This is Denise Lynn's Soul Coaching deck. And so I'm going to switch over to our other view here. There we go. And I'm going to open this up and just shuffle through here and see which one pops out. Ooh, it's totally this one on the top. And I have pulled wisdom. All I truly need is within me. Which could be our mantra for the whole night. That's beautiful. All right, cool. So thank you again, Teresa, for coming, and we're gonna go to commercial break now, right? and so this is the commercial part of our game show tonight. Thank you, first of all, for joining us. I am Jean Berry, and I hope you enjoyed the game night show. Hang on one second. There we go. Sorry, I lost totally where I was. A branded game can cause leads, engagement, and magnetic followings, as well as grow brand memory, referrals, and allow you to grow your business to 6 or 7 or even 7 figures. We have created adventure games, a spiritual game, astrology games, real estate games, and more. The sky is absolutely the limit. Would you like to explore a game for your business? You can find us both on Facebook and YouTube. Go ahead and send me a private message. We would love to book a play call and chat about your business, game ideas, and how a game could grow your business with ease and fun. If you would like to play more, and that also showed up today as our theme, you can jump into the Zap Adventure Club Facebook group. This is where you can play with us every day of the week. We have a live weekly call that allows you to jump into that play feeling, as well as the whole idea of getting connected through your soul and then getting into productive action with that play. So, and again, finally, if you want to check out Teresa's book, Braving the Self, you can find it on Amazon as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on the next Game Night Show. Thank you.